I'm Brittney Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. State Department spokesperson Ned Price spoke about WNBA star Brittney Griner, who is being held in Russia, during a press conference on Tuesday. Price was asked about a letter that Griner sent to President Biden and about her family, who have called out the administration for what they feel is a lack of effort to free her. Griner is detained for allegedly having a cannabis vape, though the United States classifies her as wrongfully detained. She was arrested just before Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine. The erosion of a diplomatic relationship between the U.S. and Russia has not aided in securing the Olympian's release. Take a listen to the State Department's comments.
Okay, if I move to Brittney Griner.
Sure.
She sent a letter to President Biden pleading with him to stand up for her. Can you give an update on what the administration is doing to secure her release? And has Blinken had any more contact with her wife?
So on the second part, the Secretary has had a couple of opportunities in recent days and recent weeks to speak to Cherelle Griner. He has had opportunities in recent days and recent weeks to speak to the families of other Americans who are wrongfully detained or held hostage around the world. I can tell you that he has no higher priority than seeing the release of these Americans who are either unjustly detained or Americans who are held hostage. This is something on which he is personally engaged on a daily basis, whether it is a discussion with the family, as he did the other week, a discussion with the families of Americans who are held hostage or wrongfully detained, or whether he is in close contact with our embassy in Moscow, for example, with our representatives around the world. As he has given his team a charge to do all that we can to see to it that these Americans are released as soon as possible. At the same time, we also are engaged in work with our allies and partners around the world to create and to reinforce a norm that would relegate this horrific practice to where it belongs, and that's of course the dustbin of history. We want to see Americans released. We want to see this practice banished, whether it is in the case of Russia or any other country that engages in the practice of wrongfully, unjustly detaining Americans or third country nationals for political benefit.
Has Blinken spoken to Cherelle Griner since June 22nd?
They spoke, they had an opportunity to speak last month, and we acknowledged that at the time. The Secretary will remain in close contact, not only with Brittney Griner's family and loved ones, but also here at the State Department, we remain in close contact, I would say almost daily contact, with her broader network. That includes her legal representation, that includes others who are working diligently day and night to see her release.
Same topic.
Yes.
We've yet to get a reaction to that letter that Brittney Griner sent from the administration. Can you offer just any reaction, any visceral sense that you got from reading the letter, reading any of the excerpts? And secondly, Brittney Griner's wife, she says she's no longer going to stay quiet. She said that silence is getting her nowhere. We do know that traditionally families of hostages have been advised, or the wrongfully detained have been advised to stay quiet to avoid compromising any negotiations. Is this still the advice that you're giving to Americans who are detained abroad and their families?
So first, on the letter, on the case more broadly, as you know, our charge d'affaires had an opportunity to see Brittney Griner on the first day of her trial last week. She was able to speak to Brittney Griner. Brittney Griner asked her to convey the message that she is keeping the faith. And I think you see that to a remarkable degree in that remarkable handwritten letter that Brittney Griner sent to the administration. Brittney Griner, Paul Whelan, Americans around the world who are held hostage or unjustly detained, they are always on our thoughts. They are always weighing on everything it is that we do. We regularly engage with families. We regularly engage with the representation of those who were wrongfully detained or held hostage. But I think all of you can understand at the same time that while we update families and certainly in broad strokes on our efforts, it's not something that we are in a position to speak to publicly in any detail. And I point to the case of Trevor Reed. I was often asked from this podium about updates for Trevor Reed's case, and I have said things very similar to what I just said about Brittney Griner and to Paul Whelan. Of course, we were able to find a way to secure Trevor Reed's release. And we were able to do so, I would say, in large part because we were discreet about what we were doing at the time. We do not want to do anything, we do not want to say anything that would potentially jeopardize the chances of seeing an American released, or that would delay by a single day, a single hour, or a single minute the safe return of an American to her, his family and loved ones back here in the United States.
Just a quick follow-up on that. Just to be clear, the Secretary and the President, neither of them have had a conversation with Cherelle Griner since this letter was received by the administration. Is that right?
I believe the letter was just received yesterday or overnight.
I'm just making sure. Understood. Okay.
And I can't speak for the White House, but of course, when it comes to the State Department, we do engage regularly, if not daily, with Brittney Griner, her loved ones, and her networks as well.
And just one more question. The coach of the Phoenix Mercury, who's that's the team that Brittney was playing on here, made a comment just yesterday saying if it was LeBron, he'd be home, right? It's a statement about the value of women. It's a statement about the value of a Black person. It's a statement about the value of a gay person, all of those. We know it, and that's what hurts a little more. What is your response to that? Just the fact that the administration, the State Department handles so many cases abroad. Do you think that this situation is unique because of who Brittney Griner is?
Well, as you said, and as the coach said, the hurt here is immense. The hurt here is profound. And I say that as someone who can't even begin to imagine what Cherelle Griner is going through, what Brittney Griner's coach, what her teammates are going through. All of those who love her, not only in this country, but around the world, are going through. The same could be said for the family, the loved ones of Paul Whelan. The same could be said for the family, the loved ones of Americans who are wrongfully detained around the world. Now, of course, Brittney Griner was perhaps a household name before she was unjustly taken into detention and held unjustly, wrongfully, by the Russian Federation. So there certainly is a spotlight on this case owing to who she is, owing to what she has accomplished over the course of her professional career. But I can tell you that our commitment to seeing every single American who is held hostage, wrongfully detained, unjustly detained, that commitment is the same. When it comes to our engagement with the families, we regularly engage with them. We do pass on advice. We pass on suggestions. We don't pass on directives. It is our goal to work with the family to see to it that we are doing everything we can to place their loved one in the most advantageous position to be released. We ourselves don't want to do anything, don't want to say anything that could jeopardize that. We have had conversations with families about how they too could avoid doing anything that would further complicate the release of their loved ones. Certainly understand the inclination on the part of families to bring as much publicity as they can to their cases. I think all of us, if we were in the position that Cherelle Griner is in, if we were in the position that the Whelans are in, if we were in a position that many other Americans who are held hostage or wrongfully detained, we would want to do the same thing. We have collaborative, good working relationships between our Special Presidential Envoy for Hostage Affairs, his office, and the families. And that contact is regular, that dialogue is iterative, and together we seek to pass on guidance. We seek to provide them with what they need to know and to provide them with suggestions on how to go about handling the publicity that they might receive.
Ned, were you meaning to suggest a little while ago that that this letter was passed to the charge in the courtroom
No.
and then sent back?
No, that's not my understanding, and I can't speak to the modalities of transmission for any specific correspondence.
How did it get- I mean,
Well, what I can say is that, of course, we do have contact with Americans held in detention, be it pretrial detention or detention during their trial. We seek to see to it that contact is regular, is consistent, consistent with the Vienna Convention. But I will also
I'm not trying
say,
to make light of this, but I mean, it's like if you're in a Russian prison and you write a letter to the president and put it in the mail with a Lenin stamp on it or something like that, and address it to the White House, you know, it ain't going to get there.
Well-
and if it does get there, it's certainly not going to get to the president. Right?
so
it had to come. It had to.
the State Department is not necessarily the only channel. And again, I'm not speaking to the modalities for any specific piece of correspondence, but many detainees, including those held in pretrial detention and detention during their trials, do have access to their legal teams as well.